Explorer Aaron was rock climbing in a canyon when he suddenly lost his footing and fell. During the fall, his right hand got wedged between a massive boulder and the canyon wall. This is a true story. Let's see how he managed to escape. The unexpected accident left Aaron momentarily stunned. By the time he realized what had happened, he was already trapped at the bottom of the narrow canyon. He desperately tried to pull his hand free, but the more he struggled, the tighter the boulder seemed to grip him. The pain was unbearable. Using his left hand, he tried to shift the rock with all his strength, but it didn't budge. Next, he kicked at it, rammed his shoulder against it, and even used his body's momentum to slam into it. He tried everything he could think of, but the rock wouldn't move an inch. It was as if it were cemented in place. He wanted to rest, but his arm was on the verge of being crushed. Waves of pain washed over him. Desperate, Aaron shouted for help, but the vast canyon was silent. There wasn't a single soul in sight. With no one around to rescue him, Aaron had no choice but to save himself. He took inventory of the items in his backpack: a climbing rope, a watch, a folding knife, and less than half a bottle of water. Right now, the knife seemed like his best bet. He started chipping away at the rock face with the small blade. Hours passed, and he had barely made a dent. Then, in a moment of carelessness, the knife slipped from his grasp and fell into a crevice. Panic surged through him. He bent down, but his trapped arm made reaching it impossible. Thinking fast, he pulled off his sock, found a nearby twig, and used his toes to carefully fish the knife out, inch by inch. After what felt like an eternity, he finally retrieved it, only to realize that the blade had dulled. With no other choice, he set to work sharpening it. From morning until deep into the night, he scraped and sharpened, his mouth growing dry. He hadn't had a sip of water all day. Carefully, he unscrewed the bottle cap and let a single drop touch his lips, savoring it for as long as possible. His legs, locked in a standing position for hours, were on the verge of giving out. He needed a way to relieve the pressure. He grabbed his climbing rope and repeatedly tossed it upward, trying to hook it onto a rock protrusion. After dozens of failed attempts, the rope finally caught. He secured the other end around his waist, redistributing his weight. At last, he could rest, if only for a moment. As sunlight streamed through the cracks in the canyon walls, it brought with it a glimmer of hope.